What is it that makes Les Misérables such an incredible, beautiful musical that almost everybody has gravitated to? That seems timeless, evokes all sorts of emotions, there's such highs and lows. We're gonna get into all that, but first of all, excuse the hat, I just had a really terrible hair day and this was the best option for today. But anyway, my name's Ben. I do videos on Broadway and theater discussions. After the video, if you really enjoyed it and you want more content like this, go ahead and click subscribe to get weekly videos centered around theater and Broadway. And with that, let's get into the video. Now, chances are if you clicked on this video, you probably know what Les Misérables is about, but for those of you who don't, Les Misérables is a musical that was based on the book by Victor Hugo of the same name. It premiered in London in 1985 and was the longest running musical in London, and also is the second longest run of any professional musical, coming second only to The Fantastics. Today I'm going to talk about the reasons why Les Misérables is so memorable, and I've summed it up into 5 reasons. So with that said, let's get to the first reason why Les Misérables is so memorable, and I think this is particularly what makes it so special. Lots of musicals are emotional and provocative, but the reason that Les Misérables is something very unique is reason number 1, it's relatable for everybody. With so many different plot lines and characters, there's pretty much a reason for anybody to have some kind of connection with one of these characters. So first and foremost, we have our lead, Jean Valjean. Of course, Jean Valjean was arrested for stealing a loaf of bread. He was in prison for 5 years and was released on parole, and he had to completely rebuild his life from scratch. If you feel like you've been an outcast and you've had to redeem yourself and rebuild your life and you've gone down that path, you can definitely relate to this character. In the second act, he becomes more of a father figure to Marius, so if you have that connection of being a father, then songs like Bring Him Home will be very relatable to you. Now also you have the character of Fantine, who's the mother of Cosette. If you're a mother, if you've dealt with sexual abuse, if you've dealt with extreme poverty, these are things you can definitely relate to with Fantine. Now young Cosette also has a very relatable position if you're an orphan, if you feel like you've been abandoned from a young age, if you feel like you're unlovable and you're that age, you can definitely relate. If you've ever felt remorse, if you've ever self-reflected and realized you've been on the wrong side of something, perhaps in some twisted way you can relate to Javert. If you're a son, if you feel this love to a father, you can relate to Marius. If you're maybe an older person, you felt unrequited love in a romantic sense. If you feel unlovable, you can relate to Eponine. If you're an activist and you've had to sacrifice a lot for a cause, you can relate to Enjolras and the whole troop of young men who fight for their rights and ultimately end up dying for their rights. So this is something I think is very unique about Les Misérables, is that there's something for everybody. A lot of times musicals focus on one character and they do a good job of making that character likable, somewhat flawed, and making you relate to that person, but it's rare that a musical has so many different plot lines and they all work. Sometimes musicals try to have different plot lines, but maybe half of them work, or only a couple of them really excel in getting you connected, but Les Misérables really just hits home run after home run with all these characters. So it being relatable, I think, is something very unique about the musical. And with that said, my second reason why Les Misérables is uniquely a beautiful musical is the intimacy and the depth of the characters. Now, this was kind of unusual for the time. In 1985, having very deep, intimate character development to the point where you could see yourself behind their eyes, you could see yourself as the character, was something that was fairly new in 1985. At least in theater and musicals and, entertainment in general. A lot of times, a lot of stories had a very surface level appeal, but this was very, very under the surface. It's hard to convey this without just giving quotes from the musical and just showing you directly how beautiful some of these lyrics are, how poetic and how incredibly artistic it conveys these emotions. One of my favorite is young Cosette in her song Castle on a Cloud, where she says, "There is a lady all in white, holds me and sings a lullaby. She's nice to see and she's soft to touch. She says, Cosette, I love you." Let's try that again. She says, "Cosette, I love you very much." I remember watching the movie with my dad, and he actually cried as soon as she said that line, because we knew that line in particular is her saying what she desperately wants. She just wants someone to love her. And up to that point, this was before she met Jean Valjean. She was working for the Thénardiers, and she just never felt that love. But she knew what it was, and she wanted it so badly. So lines like that really strike deep. I have so many different quotes I could give, but I want to keep this short, so I'm going to read one from Eponine. This is from her song On My Own. She's singing about her unrequited love for Marius. "On my own, pretending he's beside me. All alone, I walk with him till morning. Without him, I feel his arms around me, and when I lose my way, I close my eyes and he has found me." Now, of course, whether you're a man or a woman, I'm sure you have felt that sense of unrequited love. And of course, the truth is you shouldn't give yourself so much to someone who you know doesn't love you back, but sometimes we can't help ourselves and we feel this exact way. Even me reading these lyrics, I can remember times when I felt that so deeply. When you just want somebody and you feel like they're the one, but they don't want you back. All right, one of the most famous songs from the musical is I Dreamed a Dream. This is from Fantine. Right after she had to, in her words, give up her pride, she was forced to become a prostitute. That was the only way she could make money to survive. Here's from that famous song. I dreamed a dream in times gone by when hope was high and life worth living. I dreamed that love would never die. I dreamed that God would be forgiving. But the tigers come at night with their voices soft as thunder, as they tear your hope apart, as they turn your dreams to shame. Having that hope for a brighter future, for a better world, and just not seeing it and seeing how far we are from that reality. There's a reason that's one of the most famous songs in the musical, and a reason why the musical is one of the most famous of all. Like I said, I could quote this entire musical from start to finish and make the same point, but I can't do that, so I'm going to move on to reason number 3 why this musical is amazing. And reason number 3 is obviously Nick Jonas. I mean, he was the best Marius ever. He played the role of Marius for the 25th anniversary special, and he killed it. I mean, look at this.
Phantom faces at the window, phantom shadows on the floor, empty chairs at empty tables, where my friends will meet no more.
Okay, but more seriously, reason number 4 why Les Misérables is such an incredible musical is the sheer tragedy of it. I personally love when any story has the boldness to just completely break your heart. It's a great way to process your feelings and to kind of accept that the world is dark, and it's best to kind of accept that in some sense. So obviously, for example, spoilers I guess if you haven't seen the whole musical, but you have Fantine who just dies in misery, never getting to see her dreams, never getting to meet her daughter Cosette. Sounds like I'm saying a cassette tape. Cosette. Hey, at least I didn't call her Colette. You have Eponine's death, you have Enjolras' death. It doesn't all end bad. Marius and Cosette walk off in the sunset, live happily ever after. Jean Valjean does find his redemption, and though he does die in the musical, he dies fairly old, and he kind of got his wish. But still, with so much tragedy in the musical, it really helps process emotions, and it doesn't just end in this fairy tale way where everyone lives and it's all unicorns and rainbows by the end. All right, the 5th and final reason why I think Les Misérables is such an incredibly beautiful, successful musical are the series of morals and the redemption story. Redemption is possible. It happened for Jean Valjean. Even though he didn't really do anything evil, he still was treated as such, and he was able to rebuild his life. One of the most beautiful scenes for me, the scene that actually chokes me up probably more than anything, is the scene where he tries to steal silver from the church. And the priest responds by saying, "Oh, you forgot this." I mean, that degree of compassion and going really the extra mile to show love for someone who doesn't deserve it any more than anyone else. I mean, that's just an incredible moment, and that tears me up whenever I see that. And I think that propels him to realize that he needs to live a life of compassion. And obviously, Javert is not able to accept this. He can't believe that Jean Valjean redeemed his whole story and proved him wrong and showed that he really is a man of character. And ultimately, he kills himself because he feels like he did live a horrible life, and instead of changing his life, he thought, well, there's no way I can go on, and he ended it very tragically. Also with Fantine, you have the moral of the strength of motherly love. With Eponine, you have the tragic story of the unrequited love. You have the moral that you really shouldn't give yourself so much to someone who doesn't love you back. So with this series of morals, it's like, again, going back to that first point, you can relate to it in some way, take something out of this musical, no matter what path of life that you're on. And I think that's something beautiful about Les Misérables. If someone ever asks me what my favorite musical is, it's hard to answer that question, but Les Misérables is kind of my go-to answer. I think it covers all the bases in a way that no musical I've seen before has. Credit to the lyricist Herbert Kretzmer for just his incredible genius. Les Misérables is a beautiful musical, and I hope I've done a good job of conveying the reasons why it's uniquely beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. Click that like button if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. Let me know what your ideas are. If you hated the musical, let me know your opinion. Click subscribe if you like these theater-related discussion videos. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers. Be one of those first 100. Again, thanks for watching. Keep loving theater, and I'll see you next time.